Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. We are joined by Fabrizio Romano. Fabrizio, welcome to the show. I want to get
Thank you.
straight into starting with the ownership situation because we haven't heard much on it in a while. And I know there's not been many updates, but I just wanted to ask you, have you got any updates on that? Is the likelihood of the announcement being soon? If there's a particular way that it's going towards Qatar or a different, a minority investment potentially?
No, I want to be honest. At the moment, there is no update, and
Hmm.
also I think it's a pity. Before Manchester United fans, I understand that people are being not happy with the situation because it was really close in many moments, and then nothing is changing. What I can confirm is from all sides, especially from Sheikh Yassim, they keep the same position since long time about being confident, about being convinced that this is the best proposal for Man United. But now I think it's no more time for feelings. It's time to sign documents and to decide the end of the story in any sense. So let's see what happens in the next days and weeks. But for sure, at the moment, still no concrete update.
Yeah, it's frustrating for United fans, but we've got to ask you because you never know. But next thing, we'll move on to transfers now, is the latest with HOJLUND. Is he the number one target for United regarding, the striker situation? And how quickly could a deal with Atalanta be struck? Because we know, obviously, there's been a lot of different reports coming out a bit about bids going in or bids not going in. So what's the update on that?
No, there was no bid. I also saw some reports about a bid for HOJLUND around 35 million euros, a report coming from Italy, but no, there was not bid for HOJLUND, and would make absolutely no sense to bid for 35 million euros because Atalanta
Mm.
want almost double than that, so it would make no sense to go there and bid for that money. So it would be really stupid, and Man United didn't do that. So the reality is that Rasmus HOJLUND is in the list at Manchester United. He's really appreciated by Manchester United. They are convinced he has a huge potential, but it's also true that they don't want to overpay for Rasmus HOJLUND. He's a player who did very well with the Danish national team, very well with Atalanta, but was not a regular starter at Atalanta. So Man United want to pay, of course, for his potential and for his skills, but not to pay 70, 80 million euros for a player who is still in early stages of his progress. So this is why at the moment there is a conversation with Atalanta. There is a very positive conversation on player side because from what I'm hearing, Rasmus HOJLUND is super excited about Man United. He's a really big Man United fan since he was a kid, so he would love this kind of move. But it really depends on the clubs, and at the moment it's still not time for an official bid because Man United are waiting to understand if Atalanta will probably reduce the price in the next weeks.
Is there any other strikers on the radar that Manchester United could start advancing with?
Yeah, I would keep the striker situation open, honestly. It's not only HOJLUND, for sure. For example, a few weeks ago, it was 2 weeks ago, they asked again about information on the situation of Kolo Muani. Then from Eintracht is still the same position, 100 million euros or nothing. And also they hope to keep the player and sell him after the Euros in summer 2024. So not an easy one. Players like Dusan Vlahovic are still probably players to be monitored by many clubs, and Man United are also informed, but it's not something concrete or advanced. So I would keep the situation of the strikers open because yes, HOJLUND is an important target, but it's not the only one. So I feel that now after the midfielder situation resolved with Mason Mount, the focus is going to be on the goalkeeper, and then they will decide also about the striker situation in terms of budget, how much they can invest.
Yes, I mean, we did hear a couple of rumours before about AMRABAT potentially being on the cards for Manchester United. And obviously, Liverpool are investing in heavily in midfielders. Manchester United have obviously just gone, we've got the here we go on Mason Mount. But, is there any other midfielders that Man United are looking at? And is AMRABAT a name on that list? Is the reports true about that?
At the moment, I'm told that there is nothing concrete agreed between Man United and AMRABAT. It's true that he's a player they appreciate because in January, in the final hours of the transfer window in January, when Man United decided to go for Marcel Sabitzer, one of the players they considered and they had contacts on player side was Sofian Amrabat. Then it was impossible to proceed because Fiorentina were not prepared to accept any loan deal, and it's still the case. So Fiorentina for Sofian Amrabat want an important fee, something around 35, 40 million euros. This is why it's not an easy deal. And this is why at the moment nothing is advanced. I think after Mason Mount for Man United now is crucial to go and sign players in other positions and then to consider one more midfielders later in the window. But at the moment for Amrabat, it's true that he's appreciated, but I'm told that there is still nothing agreed on player side or discussed with Fiorentina. Fiorentina were not approached by Manchester United as of now, so let's wait and see. I think a second midfielder for Man United in general is a possibility, is a concrete possibility, but it's going to be crucial to sell players. So it's about Fred, Donny van de Beek, and many others. For Man United, that kind of step is crucial to understand if they can bring in a new midfielder.
Okay, that is interesting. Do you know if we were to bring in another midfielder, is there anyone that Manchester United are particularly looking at that you can tell us about?
No, honestly, it's not something advanced now. I think it's always the same names, but it's not
Mhm.
something advanced. So I think this is not something that's going to happen now. I think this is something probably for end of July, maybe August. Now the focus of the club is on the goalkeeper, and the focus on the club is going to be then on the striker. These are the two key positions to resolve. I think this week, especially for the goalkeeper situation, is really important. Then they will focus on potential second midfielder.
Yeah, well, I did want to move on to the goalkeeper situation next because it is such a weird one at Manchester United. Is it kind of the stories changed so drastically, really, where we thought De Gea was going to sign a new contract. Now it looks like he's not signing it. So I wanted to ask you, when it comes to ONANA, there has been a lot of mixed reports. A lot of people saying, this is really kind of hot. There's also reports, I think, from Italy coming out that bids have gone in. I just saw your little update before we went live about there's not a bid gone in, but the deal is very much on. How advanced are them negotiations, and is it Ten Hag that's pushing this? Does it look like it's likely to go through?
No, it's a very concrete deal. The negotiation is absolutely on. There is still no bid, so Inter have not received any official proposal from Man United yet. They expect an official bid. On Friday, Inter CEO Marotta said in public that they wait for Man United to send in a proposal. So the expectation at Inter is to receive an official bid for Andre Onana. But before sending any bid for Man United, it's crucial to speak to David De Gea. So Man United want to have a conversation with De Gea for also a matter of respect. I think it's also important to speak to De Gea and to try to understand what's the plan for the future. So before submitting any official proposal for Andre Onana, they will speak to David De Gea. For Onana, the conversation is on with both Inter and player side. From what I understand, the player would be open to making a move to Premier League, to joining Manchester United. He's not desperate to leave Inter. He's very happy in Milano, but at the same time, if Man United will agree on a fee with Inter, Onana is not going to create any problem. And it's also important to say that Man United and Inter have scheduled new round of talks, verbal talks at the moment, so nothing in terms of official bids. It will happen in the next days. So it could be today, it could be tomorrow, but Inter and United are in direct contact. So I think Onana is the top target. There are also other options, including Feyenoord goalkeeper. Dilov is one of the options that Manchester United are considering. And also for him, there are new contacts scheduled this week. So this is showing how Man United are discussing many potential opportunities. One could be to continue with De Gea and sign a second goalkeeper, a backup goalkeeper to create competition. And maybe the other is, if De Gea goes, to sign a top goalkeeper like Andre Onana. Let me say that for Onana, the final asking price is going to be crucial, because at the moment for Inter is 55 million euros plus some add-ons to arrive around 60. But for that fee, it looks complicated. So it's crucial to understand if Inter will probably reduce their asking price for Andre Onana. Otherwise, this deal could be difficult. But the deal is absolutely on for Onana to Man United.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting, actually. And I'm assuming if Manchester United go for the Feyenoord goalkeeper, would you assume De Gea would stay if they went in that direction, or do you think it could still be a situation where De Gea leaves?
I think this is open, because could be a possibility to stay with De Gea, so to have De Gea and Bilo as goalkeepers for next season, but there is also a chance to sign two goalkeepers, so probably Bilo and one more experienced goalkeeper to be together for Man United next season. So there are really many ways. They've still not decided, and I think the budget is going to be important. This is why I mentioned the fee for Andre Onana, to understand how much Man United want and can invest on the goalkeeper, and also to understand what happens with Dean Henderson, because for Man United it's crucial to find a solution for Dean Henderson. They know about Nottingham Forest interest. This deal is absolutely on, but it's also true that they want the right fee to let Dean Henderson leave. So Dean Henderson is another crucial part of this story to see Man United signing a new goalkeeper. But I think this goalkeeper situation this week will be way more clear.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'll be excited to see what happens with that. But when it comes down to a centre back, this is a position we looked like we were really interested in Kim Min-jae. Obviously, he's going to Bayern Munich now, and our interest in centre backs is seemingly cooled off. You did mention French centre backs in the market for Manchester United. Is that a position that they want to go for? Would you see them maybe moving for that later on in the market? And is there any names particular?
Yeah, I think this is not something imminent. As I mentioned, I see the goalkeeper and the striker as next steps for Man United on the market, but the centre-back is one of the things they want to do. They believe that being in Champions League next season, in many competitions, is important to have at least one more centre-back, waiting to understand what happens with Harry Maguire, trying to find a solution for Eric Bailly, who is on the market, and Man United are waiting to sell him as soon as possible. So they want a new centre-back, and the French market is one of the most interesting for Man United in terms of centre-backs. At the moment, from what I'm hearing, they sent their scouts scouts multiple times to follow Jean-Claire Todibo, who had a very good season in Ligue 1, so he's one of the players they are following. But the most concrete option remains Axel Disasi from Monaco. This is a player that they really appreciate. They already had contacts on player side, and Disasi would be really happy and keen on the move. So on the player side, they know that he's prepared to make this move to Manchester United. Now Monaco will have a new director. This is why the deal is a bit slow. Monaco are changing in terms of board. The new director is going to be Thiago Scuro, coming from Brazil, and so they will have a conversation with him regarding the final asking price and to understand how much is the final fee for Disasi. But he's a concrete option in the list at Manchester United because Kim Min-jae is joining Bayern.
Yes, exactly. It's weird how he completely cooled off on that deal. Was it due to budgets, I'm assuming?
I think it's due to budget, and it's also due to the salary. This is a very big salary for Kim Min-jae and Bayern. So they decided to go very big on him also because they sold Lucas Hernandez to Paris Saint-Germain. So that was kind of domino of centre-back. Sometimes also the timing is important. Man United don't have any solution for Harry Maguire yet. I think this is something that could happen later in the window. But that deal going slow was not helping Man United to have enough budget to make a new proposal to the player. So Bayern entered the race in a very strong way with a very big proposal. Let me also say that on Kim Min-jae, we heard many times from Italy that the deal was done, that everything was completed. That was not the reality. So it's not that Bayern hijacked the deal and with Man United was done. He was one of the names considered by Man United, but not a done deal and nothing completed. So for Man United, it's also important to be respected in that sense. They wanted Kim, yes, but was not an obsession.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, you talk about potentially Maguire leaving. Does that look like something that could happen? Apparently, talks are scheduled with him and Ten Hag to kind of sort that situation out. And I assume him leaving would mean that we go for another centre back, and I assume that's the shift that would need for the budget.
Yeah, I think if Maguire leaves, of course, they are going for a new centre-back. But the idea for Harry Maguire is to speak face-to-face to Erik ten Hag in the next days, to have a conversation also because for Harry Maguire to play next season is absolutely crucial also in terms of Euros. He wants to make sure that he's playing and he's not always being on the bench, of course. So the conversation with Erik ten Hag is going to be very important. And I think in that moment, we are going to understand how they will act on the market. At the moment, it's still a quiet situation. There is nothing advanced. I saw reports about Italian clubs or English clubs, but at the moment, it's not something concrete. I think after this conversation, we will understand on how Harry Maguire will react to Erik ten Hag position, and then how much Man United want for Maguire is also going to be a crucial point.
Yeah, is it Ten Hag that maybe wants him to leave to get another centre back in, or do you think it's Maguire that wants to go and get game time in this situation?
I think they can be on the same page, I think, this summer.
Yeah.
This is the feeling I have speaking to sources. For Erik ten Hag, he would be happy to keep Maguire and to have Maguire in the rotation. But at the same time, he knows that Harry Maguire wants to play. Harry Maguire wants to feel important. So I think they could be on the same page in the sense of, okay, maybe it's time to move on for Harry to be a regular starter elsewhere and for Man United to bring in a new centre-back. But this is one of the reasons why they didn't attack any deal with new centre-back yet. For example, with Axel Disasi, they spoke to the player side, but not in concrete negotiation yet with Monaco, because for Man United it's important to understand what happens with Harry Maguire and with Eric Bailly, who Mo was mentioning, because he's returning at the club. And for Man United, it's absolutely crucial to get rid of Bailly and Alex Telles. They respect the players, of course, but they're not part of the project, so they're looking for solutions for both of them.
Yeah, that's understandable. Talking about more outgoings, obviously we've heard Fred going to Fulham. Does that look like a deal that is concrete and could go through?
I'm not sure it's going to be Fulham. It's true that Fulham have an interest in Fred. Is one of the clubs interested, but there are many clubs around Europe, not just in England, interested in Fred. So there is a chance for him to leave the club. I think also in this case, Man United was something around £20 million. This could be the asking fee for Fred, and so this is the conversation, but at the moment it's not something close. Also, Fred is going to be important to see if Man United will sign a new midfielder, the Fred situation, and same with Donny van de Beek. Don is in love with Man United, has great relationship with Erik ten Hag, but he understands that there is no space for him at the moment at the club, and this is why after the injury, he's now returning from the injury, is probably going to be the best moment for Donny van de Beek to go and try a new experience.
Yeah, it's really sad with Donny. I always wanted that one to work out. But with McTominay as well, I mean, obviously with Man United's financial fair play situation, you would have thought they'd want to a player like McTominay, who's homegrown from the academy, full profit. They'd maybe want to move him on, considering he's not really been part of Erik ten Hag's plans much towards the later end of the season. What's the situation with McTominay? Is he someone that could move, or is Ten Hag wanting him to stay?
I will keep the situation open. I think Man United are not desperate to let him go. They know he could be a really important player in the rotation next season. When you have Champions League football, it's different. So you need also this kind of players helping you, maybe also in the league in some specific moments of the season. So when Newcastle wanted him, it was January. From Erik ten Hag's side, it was a no. So he always wanted to keep McTominay, and he was convinced that McTominay could be an important player for Man United, present and future. So in case they receive a very good proposal, this could change. So he's not an untouchable player, but he's an important player in the idea of Erik ten Hag. So I think it depends on what kind of proposals will arrive. At the moment, it's not something advanced. Also, Newcastle signed Sandro Tonali in that position. So I'm not sure they're going to invest big money on another player on the same position. But we have to keep an eye on McTominay in general until the end of the market, because for ten Hag, he's not on the market, but could be a player to watch in case they receive a good proposal.
Is that the same when it goes for Sancho and Martial, I'm assuming, as well? We've heard that similar news coming out with them
Yeah.
players.
Yeah. They are not desperate to let them go. But, if you receive a proposal, and in this kind of summer transfer window for United, it's crucial to make some money, to make some profit, and then reinvest money for them is very clear. So at the moment, nothing in it.
And then lastly, just before we wrap up, I just need to ask you, you talked about Marcus Rashford's contract being extremely close. How close can we expect that? And also, you spoke about, the budget being a little bit tight. Do you expect Man United to kind of keep it limited when it does kind of look like it's going to be a goalkeeper, striker, midfielder now? Do you expect them to not really do too much else apart from that in the window?
No, honestly, we can't predict about that. It's still very early, so I don't know how many players they would sign. It really depends on the outgoings. If you're able to sell like 3-4 important players, then at that point could be different. So I would keep it open in terms of numbers of new signings. And for Marcus Rashford, it's very close. It's just about the final details they are discussing, but the agreement is very, very close. Marcus Rashford is prepared to say yes. He's very happy with Erik ten Hag, and I think this is an excellent news for Man United, because I know probably now is not the most exciting time on the transfer market, but to have a player like Marcus Rashford out of contract in summer 24 was a very dangerous situation. So to be close to reaching an agreement, is not signed and completed yet, but it's very close. This is a fantastic news for United, also because many clubs were already thinking of attacking the situation for next summer. So good news for United.
Yes, I am excited about that. I'm excited about Mason Mount as well. It is a bit slow, and when you talk about selling players, Man United usually aren't very good at that, but we'll have to wait and see. But Fabrizio, thanks for coming on. I'm excited to chat to you more within the summer transfer window. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon. Thank you. Ciao, ciao,
See you
ciao.
later. Bye. So that was Fabrizio talking all things. Oh, I'm on the wrong over. So that was Fabrizio talking all things transfer window related. There was some new things there. I was really excited to see what kind of developed with the AMRABAT story. I would be a huge fan of getting AMRABAT in, and I see a lot of you guys in the chat are on that same page as well, around getting another midfielder in. And what I do think is important to take away from it is that Fabrizio Romano did say that Manchester United would move for another midfielder if they get the likes of Fred, Donny van de Beek off the books. So it's not as if Mason Mount is coming in to, take a place for Fred or Donny van de Beek. If they leave, it looks like we would go for another midfielder, which could be quite exciting. The one thing is about that is we have been linked to Sabitzer in the past. I wouldn't want to go in for that deal. AMRABAT has been on the list. He says it's nothing concrete at the moment. To be honest with you, in the transfer window, we see a lot of links happen. Probably agent talk, probably wanting to move, and also probably, when you're writing stories in the transfer window, these sort of stories are going to get clicks. Man United wanted him in January. Let's regurgitate this story in the summer. So I do think AMRABAT is definitely a name to watch. There's also other midfield names that we can watch. He didn't really mention too much about it, but he did say later in the transfer window that Man United might move to a midfielder if we can get Fred and Donny van de Beek sold. But to be honest with you, I would not be surprised if we go into next season with Fred and Donny van de Beek both still at Man United. I don't think we should. I think McTominay, Donny and Fred should all go, and we should be getting 2 new midfielders in. I think we should be getting a number 6 in and another box-to-box midfielder. But Man United are just very slow at outgoings. Even Fabrizio was kind of laughing at the end himself that it seems like we are very slow at outgoings. So it's one of them. Hopefully we can shift Fred on. And to be honest, Fred for 20 million, 15 million, which is what Fabrizio said we want for him, I don't think it's too bad of a deal. Fulham, maybe somewhere abroad. Fred will probably want more game time. I think that could be a good deal to move for. Although I am a bit confused as to, obviously Fred's on the to-go list, so is Donny van de Beek, but I am a little bit confused as to why McTominay is not on that list. If we've used this financial fair play thing a lot. He's homegrown talent that you're going to get money for. I don't understand why we didn't cash in on him and get that money in for him. But, we'll see what Erik ten Hag is cooking up. I want to see in the chat, actually, If you had to get rid of one of, Donny, Fred, or McTominay, who would you go for? Or maybe feel like it is Donny's time to go. Maybe Fred or McTominay, which one would you go for? Because to be honest with you, I think I prefer Fred to McTominay, but then we don't have any physical presence. I think McTominay again, he's probably staying in there for his height, for the fact he's 6 foot, and that's where we're at that. But I do, while you answering them, I kind of did want to talk about the striker a little bit. And Fabrizio did give us a really good insight into the striker situation when it comes to Rasmus HOJLUND and which other strikers on the market. And I've always said on this channel, I don't think we will end up going for Kolo Muani because he's too expensive, but he does seem like a player that Erik ten Hag really likes. We keep kind of popping back in for him, and he's a name that keeps popping up. If you didn't see the start of the video, Romano did say that Rasmus HOJLUND and Manchester United is a deal that could progress, and it is advancing. Man United want to do this deal. He is high up on the list. Rasmus HOJLUND wants to go to Manchester United, but Manchester United's stance at the moment is that they don't want to pay over the odds for him because he wasn't starting every week for Atalanta. It's not as if he scored a shed loads of goals in Serie A. He's young potential that has a high ceiling, but he's not really, he's nowhere near to reaching that high ceiling yet. So they don't want to pay really more than 45 million euros, whereas Atalanta are like, at the moment, I want 70 million euros, which is absolutely crazy. And Atalanta know that they can rip us off because they did it with Amad. So, that's where we're at with that. And to be honest with you, I do really, really like HOJLUND, but I've spoke about this so many times in the past, in the sense of the fact that if we had the likes of, a Haaland, Harry Kane, or, a striker that was just kind of a little bit more senior that could start week in, week out for Manchester United, that sort of striker, and you were getting someone like HOJLUND to come in, I would be absolutely over the moon with this deal. I would be so happy with getting HOJLUND in because he's got that potential. Erik ten Hag could work on him. There's not that huge, pressure on him to come in and score goals. But we've not got that. If HOJLUND comes in, he's basically our only out-and-out number 9, realistically, because Martial's always injured. Rashford's more of a left winger. So the pressure on him is absolutely massive. And 70 mil, which was their asking price, is ridiculous. 70 to 80 mil we've heard of. It's ridiculous. And I want to remind everyone, because HOJLUND is obviously a huge talent, but I do want to remind people that we bought Amad from Atalanta when he was in the same position as HOJLUND, and everyone was saying he was like the next best thing coming out of Italy. He was amazing, and I really rate Amad. I think he's good, and I think he is going to be a player for Man United in the future, and he's going to be great for us. But he had to go in the under 23s, and then he had to go out on 2 loan spells to get where he's at now, where he was doing brilliant for Sunderland. And still, Erik ten Hag is kind of on the cusp of, we'll get pre-season to see if there's a loan. So, Atalanta playing Serie A for Atalanta and not even starting every single game, to go into the Premier League is a massive, massive jump. So I just don't want to massively overpay on a striker that might not even be able to start for us. I like HOJLUND. I've not seen huge amounts of him. I know Mark really rates him. And if we signed him, I would be happy because I think the potential there is massive. Do not get me wrong. It's just I do think Manchester United do have to get the money front right on this. But I spoke about it before. I'm also thinking that Ten Hag might start Rashford up front and start playing Garnacho off the left. I really, really do, because it just seems like he was enjoying playing Rashford down the middle, and I think he potentially might see him as that. I don't think that's the way we should be going. I think Rashford and Garnacho should be battling it out for that left wing spot. And Rashford can play that position. He's a versatile player. I don't think he should be moulded into the number 9, but we'll have to see on that. But what are your guys' thoughts on HOJLUND? Do you think that we should be, what price tag? I honestly, when it first came on the scene, I thought 35, 40 million. Do you know what I mean? And that's tough, my guy. Just says, don't start an Amad. He was a kid when we signed him. HOJLUND's 20. I think Amad was 18, 19 when we signed him. So there's not really that much difference in it. I do think he's got a high ceiling, but it's not like, I think people think you're signing like this really like established striker that's going to start coming in and scoring shed loads of goals. I would love it to happen, but 9 goals in Serie A to go and scoring like 20 in the Premier League for Man United, it is so, so different. I think if HOJLUND came in, 10 goals would be a massive achievement for that sort of player coming in now. I'm not saying he can't go and score 20 in the future. I think Erik ten Hag, Benny McCarthy, they could work with him. He could be brilliant. But I just think the pressure would be huge. But then again, I've had people saying to me that, anything's an upgrade on Weghorst, who couldn't score anything. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he scored a single league goal. And then Martial's always injured, so anything's an upgrade on that, which you do have to take in consideration. But when you look at the transfer budget, I think it's important that we get it right with that one. And we've got a super chat in from Rohit saying, have Man United recruitment improved this transfer window, or is it similar to old times? Can you explain our financial fair play situation? Too much confusion on this. I don't know if you meant that for Romano earlier, but I'll do my best to try and explain it. No, Man United's recruitment hasn't improved, in my opinion, because we are moving very slowly. Liverpool are worrying me. They're about to maybe have 3 new midfielders in if they manage to get Lavia over the line. I'm not even going to attempt to say the guy they've just signed, Slazovic, something like that. I don't know how you say it. I've watched the video a million times. I don't know. McAllister and Lavia. We've done Mason Mount. Granted, everyone knows I love that signing, but that's nowhere near enough. We need other things, and we are moving slowly. So recruitment for me hasn't improved yet, but I'll yet to see what happens till the end of the window. And can you explain the financial fair play situation? Yeah, basically, Man United are on quite a tight budget. Without going over financial fair play, it looks like our budget is about 120 million. In all, because of the debts we've had and because of previous payments that we owe for previous transfers and just all the debt that is on the books, we are struggling with financial fair play a little bit, but this can be easily resolved if you sell players, if you sell players. The same way Chelsea have sold players. Chelsea were under at financial fair play this summer. They won't be. I think they've made over 200 million in player sales. They're going to be fine. Man United could easily make some money back through player sales. For example, McTominay, which is pure profit because he's from the academy, but we just haven't seemed to do that. And that's the one thing that's really, really frustrating me. Really frustrating me when it comes to Man United this summer. Why aren't we getting players out the door? It's like Romano just said that Ten Hag is going to have a conversation with Harry Maguire. Now, basically. And they're both on the same page. Ten Hag probably doesn't mind if he leaves, and Maguire probably wants to leave and go and play first team football. Why the hell is that? I just lost it from my head because I just seen a comment saying I murdered that name. I know it's going to be clipped up. Why is that conversation not happened with Maguire and Ten Hag before July? Why did it not happen at the end of the season? Like, why is it taking until now for that conversation to happen? Because if they would have had that conversation earlier, then they would have been able to sell Maguire earlier in the window because everyone would have been on the same page. I don't get it. It just feels like we're super slow with a lot of things in the transfer window. And someone just said, you should have asked about Donny van de Beek. I did ask about Donny van de Beek. They're going to try and get a transfer in for Van de Beek. It seems like his time at United is over. That would be good because it's just been a situation that's been lingering around. As much as I wanted Donny to work, I just don't think it's going to. And if it can't work under Ten Hag, who's it going to work under? Realistically, he got the best out of him at Ajax. I just don't think his physicality is suited to the Premier League, to be honest. I think he'd be really good abroad somewhere. I think he'd be great back at Ajax. I think there's talks of him going to Serie A. I think he'd be good there. So I wish Donny all the best if he does leave. Also on Fred, looks like he's up for sale. Rashford, new contracts coming soon. Centre-back situation, Disassi looks like our main target if Maguire leaves and we're going to go for another centre-back. I'm not over the moon about Disassi. I'm going to be honest. I think it's a massive drop off from Kim Min-jae. I think I've looked at his pace and it looks like he's the same speed as Maguire. I don't like centre backs that don't have pace. It frustrates me. It's such a hindrance when it comes to playing different systems, especially with a high line. It would be better with obviously like an ONANA in there, but it still is just a massive hindrance. I want a pacey centre back. And I think his turn is pretty slow. So I'm not over the moon about Disassi if I'm being honest. Ruben S says, be kind to HOJLUND. I have information he's probably watching right now and regularly. He's more developed than Ahmad, more goals than games for Denmark. Yeah, I do think he's more developed than Ahmad. And I'm being kind. I think HOJLUND is a brilliant talent. And I would be very happy if we signed him. I just think 70 million for that, for where he's at in his development right now is too much money. And Man United shouldn't be getting ripped off, which is what we have done in previous windows. But then again, you would say if he does go on and be that striker that we all think he can be, is it worth it if you have to wait a while? I just think I don't really want to wait. Man United need a striker that's going to be scoring now, but I'll be interested to see what happens. What are everyone's opinions on Disassi? I want to see what people think about Disassi. I've been speaking about him, not overjoyed with it. I would have loved Kim Min-jae, I've got to be honest. I know the wage was silly, and I know, but the transfer fee that you were going to pay for him was so under the odds. It would have been an absolutely brilliant signing. And all because we didn't get that Maguire conversation sorted earlier on in the window. If we would have been able to sell Maguire earlier, I guarantee we probably would have gone for Kim Min-jae properly. And as Romano just relayed, he didn't pick Bayern over Man United. Man United never fully went for him and offered him that wage and offered him that contract. So it's just frustrating. And Adrian in Cape Town says for 70 million euros, Ramos from Benfica would be a lot better deal than HOJLUND. This is the thing. I really like Ramos and I would love to buy him. When I look at both players as profiles, I think in the Premier League, longevity-wise and ceiling-wise, I actually think HOJLUND probably does have the higher ceiling. But looking at it now, Ramos would be better to come in for sure. But I think Ramos is going to turn, if he came to Premier League, would turn out to be that kind of Firmino type striker that drifts a lot, kind of can drop in. He's good technically, but isn't that out and out number 9. And obviously that worked brilliantly for Liverpool, but they also had Salah and Mane on the wing. So, it was just a perfect combination. And I think Firmino has always been an underrated striker in the Premier League, but that's not really what United want. We want an out and out 9. And that is what HOJLUND will be in the future if Ten Hag can work with him, Benny McCarthy can work with him. I think he has the higher ceiling. So it's a tough one because right now for next season, who would score more goals in that United team? I would say Ramos. But for the future, I think HOJLUND's probably got the higher ceiling, hasn't he? But they are similar ages. HOJLUND is 20 and I think Ramos is 21. So it's interesting. I wonder what the price tag they would put on Ramos. We heard it was 100 million, but surely they'd drop it. So we'd have to see. I am going to quickly talk about the goalkeeper situation, which I know a lot of you probably won't like. I know a lot of you guys have kind of, different opinions on this. And I just want to first and foremost say on this topic, because I've seen a lot of comments about this, I absolutely respect anybody's opinion that wants to keep De Gea. You are entitled to it. And, you might be right. We might get another goalkeeper in and it might not work out. Like, you might be right, I might be right. There's no one here that has a better opinion than anybody like that. You can respect words both ways. But this is a channel where, everyone can kind of express what they want. And it's an interesting one. I've always said in regards to De Gea, I don't think the way the club's treated him's right. I think it is disrespectful. Me and Mark have had conversations about this. And everything with me and Mark when it comes down to the keepers is purely banter, everyone, by the way. Me and Mark get on very well, very well. But when it comes to the keeper situation, the way that we have treated De Gea is poor. We should never have let it go on this long. We never should have let it get to this point, but this is where we're at. So in regards to what Romano said with ONANA, it looks like the deal is very much on. He is Erik Ten Hag's first choice, but the problem right now is the fee. So the fee right now, 55 million euros is what Inter want, and they want add-ons taken up to 60. Man United want, I think from what I remember, they want around 45 million euros, potentially with add-ons to take up to 50. So we're about 10 million euros off right now in the price. And this could be very, very crucial when it comes to whether we do go for ONANA or potentially keep De Gea or go for the Feyenoord keeper. That would be a third of the price, which is interesting. I thought a real good topic that we got surrounding this and surrounding the Feyenoord keeper is Man United have scheduled talks with him next week. So he is very much a keeper that they're interested in. I did think it was a little bit like the Caicedo thing. Do you know when we were going for Mount and then all of a sudden we were going in for Caicedo just to kind of make Chelsea lower the price so we could go for him? I assume with this situation that Man United want ONANA. Inter expect a bid, as Romano said, and the Inter CEO said himself. Inter expect this bid. Man United probably are going to bid, but Man United want 45 million euros plus add-ons. They don't want to be paying 55 million plus add-ons. The same way that we did with Mason Mount. Oh, suddenly we're interested in this other goalkeeper. We're probably going to walk away from the ONANA one. Inter need money. Inter desperately need money. This is why I think this deal will get done, because I think Inter do need money. We've spoke to Ben Jacobs about it. Skriniar is now left on a free. They need to sell one of the big stars because they're working on something where they want to get Lukaku in. They want to get signings in. They have to sell to get signings in. So I think we will get it done. But United are probably using this tactic to lower Inter's asking fee. So it's one of them for Inter where they desperately need money. So they're probably trying to get as much as they can, but they can't really afford for United to walk away realistically because, they want to get the money in the bank to buy other players. Glazers out. Didn't Mark say we should spend 200 mil this window as per his sources? I think that's his opinion, and I think we probably will get close to that if we sell players. but it's super, super dependent on whether we sell players. It does look like the budget is very, very tight right now from what is getting put out there. But obviously, when you're negotiating for players and you're negotiating for a new keeper, you're negotiating for different positions, the news that's going to be put out there by Man United to journalists is that we're on a tight budget. They're not going to be there like, oh, yeah, we've got 200 million to spend this summer, everyone. Come and rip us off the same way you did with Wan-Bissaka and Maguire. So it's interesting what gets put out into the news. It can very much vary with certain different things. But that is where we're at in that situation. I'd be very interested to see how these goalkeeper talks this week. If I was De Gea right now, seriously, I would be like, what? Why? I'd be like, why have you not spoke to me earlier? Why are you still stringing me along to do it on the weekend of my wedding? I know sometimes these things can't be helped. I'd just be like, what do you want? Do you want me to stay? Do you want me to go? Like, what do you want from me right now? I'm getting mixed signals all over the place. It's like, when you maybe start seeing someone, I'm going to do the analogy now, analogy coming out. When you start seeing someone and you're going on dates and then like next thing you know, this doesn't happen to me, by the way. Next thing you know, it's like, yeah, I do want to meet this week. And then you don't hear from them. And then that goes by. And then, oh, I want to meet again, but then you don't hear from them. Do you want to meet? Do you want to get things going or do you not want to meet me? That's the situation we're in right now when it comes to De Gea. And it's a crazy one. Ten Hag clearly wants to get Onana in. He's pushing for it. United want to put the bid in for Onana, but they need to see what happens with De Gea. Again, this should have been resolved ages ago. Why do Man United only start doing stuff like it this time? Like other clubs do this stuff months back. It's so, so annoying. But anyway, guys, that is the situation. What do you guys think? Do you think it will be De Gea or do you think it will be Onana next season? I'm not sure what it'll be. I think if I had to bet on it now, I think we will end up going for Onana. But you never know. We could have talks with De Gea tomorrow and he could sign. And then all you guys will be absolutely coming for me and I have to come offline. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening to the show. I really do think that Romano update was really, really insightful, especially talking about HOJLUND. Mwani's one to watch. A second midfielder could be on the cards, Maguire leaving, and, also on the goalkeeper situation. United and Ten Hag wants a bid for Onana, but they've also got scheduled conversations in with De Gea. And also keep an eye on the Feyenoord goalkeeper as well. But thank you everyone for watching. Thanks for all the nice comments and the interactive comments as per usual. Anybody that put a super chat in, thank you very much. Make sure you hit a like on the video on your way out, guys, because, hit a like for Romano doing these updates for us out throughout the window. It's really, really good to have these updates from a tier 1 journalist. And thank you everyone for getting involved with the show and for watching. We'll see you on the next one with more updates.